stops ourselves from ruining it and ruining it. That was so hard to get through. Hey guys, it's VulpixCandy, and today I'm going to talk a little about reading slumps and how I personally deal with them. I tend to get reading slumps a lot, like no joke, all the time. And I kind of have a love-hate, bittersweet relationship with them. I kind of think that they're good in a sense, because if your mind doesn't want to read anymore, then you should let it just relax, let it wander, because you shouldn't force yourself to read. I take reading as something enjoyable, not like a marathon. Cue English techniques here. I think of reading like an athlete would think of training, kind of, which sounds really weird, but bear with me. When an athlete is training, their body will tell them when they've had enough and when they need to stop, so that their body can like recuperate and mend itself and grow stronger with the break days where they don't do anything. I kind of take that the same as reading, in the sense that when my mind's had enough and it wants to recuperate, it'll just say, you're in a reading slump, and that's it, I can't read, and I just detest it. So I kind of think of it as my mind just regenerating, and I don't want to spoil reading for myself because I thoroughly enjoy it, and if I force myself to read, then I cannot stand reading, and I don't want to feel like that about reading. It's one of my favourite pastimes. So that's why I think reading slumps are good, because I think it's that point where we're about to start hating reading, but then it kind of makes us take a step back and relax before we get to that point, and stops ourselves from ruining it for ourselves. But that's just my thoughts on it. Like, it's probably different for everyone, but that's how I personally feel about it. There are a few things that generally gets me out of a reading slump, and they're probably not going to work for everyone, but they may work for you, so definitely try them if you are in one and you would like to get out of one. Number one would definitely be the booktube community. I can sit down and watch booktube videos and instantly be inspired to read again. It could be anything. Book hauls, someone's TBR, a wrap-up video, just anything. And I'll be sitting there watching them and I'll think, I want to read, so I'll go do it. I mean, it doesn't always work for me, but like, sometimes it does. But it's probably the one that mainly gets me back into reading during or after a reading slump. The second one is starting a new book. Sometimes, without even realizing it, it could be the book that we're already reading that puts us into a reading slump. And this has happened to me quite a few times, like The Hobbit. I've been reading that for like the past 1.5 to 2 years. And there's nothing wrong with it, it's very hard for me to get through it. I love Lord of the Rings, so it's kind of disappointing, but I'm gonna have to start The Hobbit again. But that put me into a major reading slump, because I felt as if I had to finish that before I started another book, and that's totally not the case. I just dislike reading many books at once, but as soon as I started reading something else, it got me out of that reading slump, and I never kind of went back to The Hobbit. The third thing that can get me out of a reading slump is reading a fairly short book. I think if you read a short book, you feel like you've accomplished something and it gets you back into reading and you want to read more. For me, that is definitely the case. I feel like it's some big achievement when I finish a book, and I like seeing how many I've read. Definitely reading a shorter book inspires me to keep reading so that I can accomplish more. The final thing that can get me out of a reading slump is probably going to sound a bit weird, but it totally works all the time for me, and it is reading fan fiction. I think fan fiction for me gets me out of a reading slump because I can find something exactly like I want to read at that moment. And the fact that it can be different stories within Harry Potter or Batman or One Direction, don't judge. It just makes me happy and enjoy what I'm reading, and then I'll want to go back into reading books again. Honestly, fan fiction, there is so much out there that there is something for everyone. Like, I've read Twilight, Harry Potter, Batman, Thor, Avengers. I have read some video game ones. Link. Beautiful. Did I say Batman? I may or may not have said it, but there you go. If you have like a particular movie that you enjoy or a character, if you just search for something on them, you'll find hundreds of some of the cutest stories. I definitely recommend trying out fan fiction because I mean, it's not exactly reading a book, but it's still reading, and it definitely puts me out of a reading slump, so it might even put you out of a reading slump. Okay guys, that was my short kind of, well hopefully short, kind of video on reading slumps and how I deal with them. I hope that these ideas that I have proposed to you do in fact work, and I hope you try them out. So hopefully you may find something that works for you, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.